Oh, hold on. I think they just jumped us on. We didn't get our theme music or nothing.
We
You
ain't
know
Oh
got
what?
no
shit.
theme.
Hold on. We got to do our theme music. We'll be back, y'all. We
Yeah,
got to
we
get our
got to
theme
do a
music on.
theme music. Wait a minute.
Stop the world, let me off. I don't like this destination. I like a transfer to the express line. I gotta get off. Electric slide to the devil doors of life. Things are changing and it ain't the way I like. On the replay, wish I could get a replay. Don't mean to hold ya, but I wanna do over. Gas up the ship, shoot me a text and let me know when it is time. I wanna get off, I wanna get off. 1 star, would not recommend that we go far from here. I wanna get off, I wanna get off. Stop the world.
A music podcast for the culture. Wild Wild Thoughts.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wild Wild Thoughts. We are here another Wednesday evening. You know, we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. Shout out to V-Ray and T-Rex, my co-hosts for the evening.
What's up?
You know,
Bragging.
let's start with, the unfortunate news. The verdict came out that Breonna Taylor, this pisses me off so bad, but Breonna Taylor's death has not been ruled a homicide because they blamed her being killed on the bullet that her boyfriend shot to start the police to shooting, right? Like, so they saying it's his fault that she died, even though they came in there with a no-knock warrant, and he thought it was an intruder, and he thought he was, utilizing self-defense in the way that you're supposed to if you're in your home. I know you want to talk about this, V-Ray. I know you have some thoughts on it. So, I like to hear, what your thoughts are on that. It was very disappointing to me, but it also just continues to show why there's so many things that need to be fixed in the system in regards to policing Black folks. But go ahead, V-Ray.
Well, I mean, I think when I first heard about it and I hit you up about it, it was just a knee jerk, pissed off reaction. You know what I mean? But with them saying that the warrantless warrant, mind you, had nothing to do with her death, that her physical death, it was just stupid because there was no probable cause for the warrant to begin with. It wasn't just that they lied and said that there was some suspicious activity or whatever they did say, but if there's no probable cause, it's like the fruit of the poison tree, they say, when you try to prosecute somebody and you go in without a warrant and you get a bunch of evidence on them and they can't use any of it. It's like that should have been an automatic guilty verdict in a sense, because they formulated the storyline for the warrant, and in reality there was no basis for the warrant to begin with, so they wouldn't have even been there at all. So I thought the judge's shit was just a misguided carriage of justice, and it was just messed up. But not only that, but it goes to in my mind anyway, it's just fodder for a case against Trump wanting to give immunity to cops regardless of what they do in the line of duty and shit like that. I don't know. It's so many things that so many layers to it. It just, I don't know. It just seemed like they don't give a shit. And then they didn't drop all the charges though. They still have the civil charges at bay. But the thing about that is that it's almost like the killing itself wasn't a crime. It was a civil rights violation. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you couldn't just categorize it as murder, but it's a soft landing for those cops. They still stand to get some time, but they were looking at life in prison at first, and now they're looking at like whatever whatever civil rights violations get these days for white people. One last thing that I'll say is the another thing another thought that I had about this is that Black people get appeased sometimes when the cops get arrested. They like, all right, goddamn it, it's about time for some justice, right? And then a long time passes like this, and then there's a ruling that undermines their arrest and the charges that they stand to face and stuff like that. So it kind of now seems like having having an indictment, a grand jury indicts the officers and stuff, is kind of a new way to placate Blacks,
Right.
because in the long run they'll forget about the infraction or the intensity that it caused at the time, and 2 years later or whatever they dismiss the charges, and it's like they were off with pay the whole time and shit like that, so there was no real punishment for them in that case.
Yeah,
I'll stop there.
Yo, no, you feel like you said, V-Ray, you feel like they get an arrest, an indictment, but it feel like they kick the can down the road.
Right.
And then a bunch of procedural stuff starts, and then something like what happened with Breonna happened, or what happened with one of the other cops in the George Floyd, where like later on when things cooled down, some of the charges were dropped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's things of that nature. You know what I mean?
It's just a formality that they used to suspend the cops with pay or without pay as the big sign of some judgment against them and shit like that, and not indict them. And now they've advanced it to they'll indict the cops, but if they actually stand trial or they get these charges diminished, it's a whole other thing. So it's a way of just keeping Black people from tearing up shit, in the moment, and then you get the injustice down the road instead.
Well, and that also leads into like what you were saying, man, like Trump talking about giving federal what's the word? Federal immunity to all cops across the country. And to me, that is terrifying. Like I was talking to a buddy of mine this weekend. He's actually, I wouldn't say he's a Trump supporter, but he was somebody who was on the left. And we'll get into this too. He was somebody who was on the left and felt like a lot of things that they were doing were getting a little out of hand. So then he said he's kind of leaning to the right, but then he was like, I can't really rock with Trump. You know what I mean? So he almost was like, I guess he would be what you would call the few Robert F. Kennedy voters. You know what I mean? He was like, I don't know, because he was like, I'm not really a Trump guy, but I don't like what's going on over here. But I was talking to him, and I was telling him about, like, no matter what, even if there were a bunch of policies of Trump's that I like, which they're not, but if there were a lot of policies that I like, I said the one non-starter for me is him giving federal immunity to cops. I said, because that's the thing that's going to affect Black people all across the country, even more so than it's been affecting us now. Like, because right now, at least they try to hide and do stuff under the color of the law because they don't think they're going to get in trouble. You know what I mean? But then it's going to be all out like, oh, we could do anything with the badge. Like, it's a wrap. So to me, that's terrifying. You know what I'm saying? Like, the mindset, we need more protection, not them. And exactly. So for me, as a Black person and a Black man specifically too, the thought that police will have federal immunity to do whatever they want to do across the nation, and as long as you're in uniform, you can't be charged with nothing. That's terrifying more than any other policy, any tax cuts, any migration, any border issues. To me, that's like a non-starter over anything.
No, I completely agree. Excuse me, because they take it to the cliff right now, so with no consequences at all. I mean, I say take it to the cliff like doing crimes like the George Floyd killing. You're on camera, so whatever you do is gonna be immortalized, right? And you're gonna have to answer for that, and they do it anyway, or pull out a gun when people are standing around filming and shoot somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's like they didn't give a shit when they didn't have national immunity, but with it, it's like, what's the name of that movie where they one day a year they can kill
Purge
and get away with it? The Purge.
Yeah,
It's the Purge every day.
Yeah. Quincy, what's your thoughts on the Breonna verdict?
Well, I mean, I think that the judge saw out and gave it to him. I think that it definitely put the spotlight on the importance not just voting for the president to be president, but understand who select these judges. You know, people get so tunnel vision on one issue, and they don't realize that when you put in the president, that's who picked the federal judges.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I saw a crazy stat this past week that Biden have appointed more black women federal judges than all the presidents combined.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was like insane. Trump was the first president since like Harry Truman to not at least select one black federal judge to the bench. So the first thing I looked at when I heard about the verdict of Breonna Taylor, I said, well, let me go see who appointed this judge. It was Ronald Reagan.
Wow.
He's 79 years old Ronald Reagan appointed federal judge. And so I can't stress enough when people looking for all these little petty reasons not to vote for folks and things like that. Understand that in these moments, when it comes to making these type of decisions, understand who you allow to shape the system, shape the courts. You know, you also heard just today that Biden tried to forgive more student loans, and the Supreme Court said no.
And who put the Supreme Court the way it
And
is?
who put the Supreme Court together? And Dang would tell you, I was preaching till I was blue in the face in 2016 that election was bigger than Hillary. It was about
we kept saying it's not about Hillary.
It was going.
It's about the Supreme Court.
Hillary, worst case scenario, we had her for 8 years. Best case, 4 years. But the federal judges stick around about 30. About 30 years. And sometimes, man, we so tunnel vision on certain bullshit.
I'm still mad at Ruth Bader Ginsburg though for not retiring because
Ruth and like to go like my folks that want reparations. Yeah, you got to understand that. Do you really think, I always hear people, oh, reparations, and I go, well, you should have thought about that before you allow Trump to shape our Supreme Court. Because I can tell you right now, with this current Supreme Court,
it ain't happening. No matter
it ain't happening. And even back then, and I, one of the things I really followed closely was when Biden and Kamala gave black farmers $5 billion, and they specifically said it was for black farmers. And I wanted to see what was going to be the reaction to that. And and Republicans and white folks reacted exactly how I thought. They sued Biden and Kamala. First, they said it was reparations.
Yeah.
Then they sued Biden and Harris administration for discrimination against white farmers.
Yeah.
And a Trump judge held up the money and told them that they can't mention race when distributing out money. So they have to go back and rewrite it. The budget was a little shrink, and they end up getting less money than was actually passed.
Yeah, they actually got $2 billion, and they had to just say discrimination of any kind. So basically,
Wow.
Yeah.
And this, but when it comes to things like Breonna Taylor and whether it's reparations and you voted for president, remember who appoint these judges. And like I said, I was stunned when I saw Biden appointing more black women to the bench than all the presidents combined. Yeah. We're talking about over 200 years.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So take that. So I wasn't shocked. Like I said, these people, this was Mitch McConnell's setup. This was the setup. And I tell folks when you and you got to look at these type of things. Like I was trying to explain to somebody, like even in the Rodney King case, where you remember they got acquitted in state, but they still did federal time.
Yeah.
And like Dane was saying, if Trump get full immunity, they don't do federal time, so they get off state, and those cops from Rodney King don't do federal time either. If it was under what Trump want to implement, so folks got to see the domino effect. It's unfortunate that Breonna Taylor family won't get the justice. I feel they deserve. From my law enforcement experience, we was taught that you better be able to see your target before you're fired. So you couldn't just blindly fire through a wall or through a window or whatever. And so, because how can you say something is a threat if you can't see it?
So let me ask you this, Quincy. How you said they went back and said it was unconstitutional to give it just to black people. How does it work that they're able to give stuff specifically to Jewish folks, specifically to Asians, and specifically to different groups, and they don't get sued for it being unconstitutional? Or like, how does that work? That when it's something specifically for black folks, it can be deemed unconstitutional. You can't mention race, but when it's for like, Jewish folks or Asians, that they can do something specific. How does that work?
We don't sue.
We
don't sue. We just ran about it. They sued. They saw it was a $10 billion budget for farmers, and black farmers, Trump didn't give them nothing. Black farmers been struggling. So Biden and Harris said, you know what, we're gonna get half of that to black farmers, and then the other $5 billion we're gonna distribute it,
to everybody else.
Yeah, through everybody else. And white farmers sued for discrimination. So the thing I tell people, I say, look, if you think that there's a bill that's specifically for a group of people and you didn't file a lawsuit, then what are we doing? Because that's what they did. They filed a lawsuit. White farmers sued the Biden and Harris administration for discrimination, which is crazy that a law that was created for us in 1964 and turn around and use the shit against us when somebody is actually finally trying to come through for with black farmers or whatever. So yeah, like that's the thing. That's why I told somebody, I said, somebody's like, well, they got an Asian hate crime bill. I said, well, okay, cool, go sue them then.
Then we look like the assholes.
Yeah.
But we should
look like the mean black person.
But you gotta shed that because nobody else has that. Nobody else has that hanging over them when they sue. I mean, the people that sued the farmers look like some assholes, but they did it anyway, and they won.
Well, also I used the Asian hate crime bill because actually, if you do sue for that, you're gonna lose, because that's not what it's called.
Wow.
It's called the COVID Hate Crime Act, and not only Asians are protected under it. It's actually anybody who has COVID is actually protected under it. That's why I say you also got to read the fine print. But when it comes to distributing money and funds, and you see one particular group getting something and not black folks, file a lawsuit. That's what the white farmers did. And that was what the judge ruled. You cannot distribute funds by mentioning like a specific race. So with that, now there's a precedent set. So if another group gets money and race is mentioned, it should be a whole bunch of black people lined up with lawyers suing for discrimination.
So that's what we'll have to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, any of us could sue. We could sue. Anybody can sue.
It's crazy that you like. It's crazy that you have to do that, but I'm glad you answered that because, like, one of the things you hear people like, "Oh, the Asians got their bill, the Jewish people got their bill, black people ain't got their bill. That's why I'm not voting for Biden." And a lot of them don't even know about the farmer bill, like, because I have to tell them like they tried to give black farmers $5 billion.
And it said black farmers.
Yeah,
It said black farmers. That's why I always say, like, with black folks, they gotta almost like sneak shit in there and backdoor, and you just gotta understand what the code word is when it comes for when you ask for things for black people, because if they openly come out and say, you know what, this is for black people, you see the response
right.
that it's gonna get. So they almost gotta like do it and be sneaky about it. And by the time they find out, it's like, oh shit, that shit was for black folks. And that's how they gotta do it.
Well, so I want to talk to you guys about swing voters, right? Because one thing I'm seeing is you're dealing with a lot of just bad misinformation. A lie spreads faster than the truth. We know that, and it's like a lot of bad information is just getting out there quickly, and people jumping on these narratives. And I'm like, it's funny, like, because I'm still seeing that she arrested thousands. Kamala arrested thousands of black people for marijuana. Like, I'm like, how are y'all still saying that when that's been debunked so easily thousands and thousands of times? And I've seen it a bunch of places. But there are swing voters I've been speaking to, or people who are like Republicans, but not really MAGA Republicans, but they feel like, I'll give y'all some examples. Like, I talked to one cat named E, and he was saying, like, there's some things that the Democratic Party has been doing that I really don't rock with. And this is one of the things I wonder how the Democrats are going to address this. When he was like, I don't think you should be able to give your kid, I don't think schools should be able to give your kid information and stuff for your kids to transition and medication without parents knowing, because they got that thing where the parents, you know what I'm saying, where the parents can know. Well, but I mean, where the parents can't know. And he was like, to me, he said, that's just a bit too much. That's a bit too far. He like, I can't support that. And then he said, like, that on top of feeling like the economy's bad, and on top of feeling like if you're, if you're considered Republican or MAGA, you can't express your opinion. He just said he feel like there's no like room for dissenting, even if you agree with most things the Democrats do. But if there's some things you don't agree with, especially like he's like, because people call me transphobic for saying I don't want my kid to be able to transition. He was like, so how do y'all think the Democrats can reconcile that? Because I do think that most common sense Democrats are probably not going to rock with that shit either. Any thoughts?
Oh well, I go. I think that I think on the subject of the transgender is that I definitely agree. Like, I have a big issue with men competing against women, naturally born men.
Why? Why are y'all
competing
competing against a woman?
Yeah,
They're women.
I think if there should just be a transgender division and let them compete against other transgenders.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely should not be competing. Definitely fighting against women. What was the other issue, Dane?
So he said the trans.
The economy.
The economy. Yeah, well, like, for example, because he's talking about this bill. We were talking about let me look it up. I want to get it right. The California Dream for All bill. And, they talking about opening it up for undocumented migrants to be able to qualify for home loans in California.
Yeah, I saw that, and I got to read up on that, because I think there was something in there regarding like undocumented migrants who still pay taxes.
Yeah, but
And
again, I think that's, you know, in regards to like people who are
yes.
on swing vote, that looks bad. Like optic wise, that looks bad when you like
Well,
we can't even get home loans, because that's one thing I saw. Like I saw a post about it, and you saw so many black folks saying like we can't even get home loans, and now they making bills to try to make sure undocumented, you know, migrants can get bills. So I'm thinking like when you talk about optics and you talk about things that they're gonna be battling against,
mhm.
I think these are some of the things they're gonna have to figure out how to reconcile, because like I said,
Well, I think there are things in there. I mean, there's other situations where I know Kamala. First thing, this is a California state thing that
right.
our local or statewide legislators pass, which I think that's just something we just gonna have to address as far as California.
But
know.
you know how people work. They're gonna drop
Yeah.
that under the envelope of see what the Democrats are doing. You
Yeah.
know, Dems running.
And that's the thing about being a big tent party is that Democrats in California ain't the same as Democrats in South Carolina.
Yeah,
Democrats in South Carolina ain't the same as Democrats in Michigan.
for sure.
That's if that's the case, Kamala just would have made Gavin Newsom her VP.
Right.
and she couldn't, because she knows that two California Democrats don't connect with Midwest, East Coast, South,
Right.
like Dems.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I'm asking this because I'm trying to foresee some of the problems that they could run into.
I think they got to speak more about the things they have done, which I was looking at the other day regarding as Black folks in housing, and what they have done there, because there's this perception that if you do something for one group, that means you're not doing it for another group.
Right.
And so what they have to do a better job is, okay, yeah, we're doing this for undocumented, but we have also done this for Black people in home ownership. Also, I was like, a lot of people didn't know about the Harris and Biden administration regarding people with convictions to have access to public housing. I don't think a lot of people even know that that's something they push for in policy. That Marshall Fudge, the person in charge of HUD, said she got the green light from Kamala to really push that, people who have convictions should be allowed to have access to public housing, which also kind of aligned to, Kamala Back on Track program, which, she allowed people who were first-time felons to work off convictions so they could still have access to financial aid and all that if they wanted to go back to school. So I just think that what I'm hoping she does, and what she has, I pray to God she does this, is that she goes and do some Black radio. That she goes on Roland Martin, she goes on Ricky Smiley, even fuck it, do an interview on the Shade Room.
Tyler Smiley.
Like really, and just that's a place where she can specifically talk about things that she has tried to implement and have implement as far as she pushed for Black folks.
I'm glad.
But she can't be seen too heavy-handedly pandering to the for the Black vote, because motherfuckers is already saying that, like Obama, that they're gonna come, that the person is gonna come, the Black official now, mind you, is gonna come in with the Black agenda. You know what I'm saying, to try to push all these Black things that don't have anything to do with anybody else. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a fine line that you gotta tread.
No, yeah, and unfortunately, only Black candidates have to walk that line.
I know, but I'm just saying.
And so what folks have to do a better job is kind of decoding, like I told. But one thing about Kamala, she's not as passive aggressive as Obama.
Right.
Like there's video of her says she support reparation.
Wait, so I want to address this comment that's coming in from YouTube from Valiant Thor. So he said their plan is to replace the black vote for the immigrant vote. So this is the stuff that I'm talking about, Quincy, that they're going to be up against, right? That I've been seeing a lot of. All the HUD housing is going to the immigrants. California just implemented a new law to give immigrants $150,000 to buy a home. Wow. So this is the stuff that they're going to have to contend with. You know what I mean? Like this is, and I think that actually, like things like this could actually hurt them. Nationally, on a national level.
Well, I push back on the notion that they're trying to replace the black vote with the immigrant vote because the biggest constituents are black women, and a big part of why Kamala is in the position she is because they really wanted to get rid of Biden and Kamala. I don't know if a lot of people know that.
Yeah.
This wasn't the plan.
No.
The plan was to get rid of them both. But what they didn't want to do is piss off their biggest constituent who vote for them 90% of the time is black women. Because if they would have lost black women, it would have been a wrap.
And they would have lost them for years. They would have lost them for some years.
Yeah, it would have been a wrap. If they had dropped Biden and Kamala and then did like some open elections. So I think right now they're pandering more to the immigrant vote because I don't think a lot of people realize that they like in around 60% with supporting Democrats. A lot of Latinos are Trump supporters. I don't think a lot of people realize.
Exactly.
All Latinos are Trump supporters.
But even with the immigration position.
Yeah. As much racist shit he spew out, a lot of Latinos are Trump supporters. So, like I said, when you're part of a big tent party,
what black mothers they pissed off in New York and in Chicago?
Yeah, this.
Please explain Valiant. That's super rando.
Yeah. And so part of the I don't know, dude, just throwing out shit at this point. Part of a Big Ten party, you got to appeal to different people. But back to the point I was making, she can't talk about her black agenda on CNN, but if you're gonna roll
Tamron Hall, like she go to Tamron Hall or something like that.
Yeah, or go back on the Breakfast Club. She seemed pretty good. She seemed one of the most comfortable candidates on the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Like, and then she could go because they're gonna ask those questions.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I question the wisdom in that. I think that she should definitely speak to black issues to an extent, but I think she has to bundle them with an overall agenda for the nation. You know what I mean? That's the same dilemma that Barack Obama had, is that he can't come in saying, we're going to get reparations, nigga. We're going to have a barbecue every Friday. We're going to, you know what I'm saying? It's an R&B playlist at every show and shit like that, because it just sounds like you position, even in a black environment like the Breakfast Club or Roland Martin and places like that, is because it seems like you coming out of character from what you say at the Democratic National Convention. When you get around black people, you say this other shit. You know what I'm saying? That's just. I think that's can be used as ammunition just as much as what he's saying. What Dame is talking about these agendas for trans kids and jobs and immigrants and shit like that. So you have to be careful not to weaponize, not to give niggas that have no talking points right now really against Kamala Harris to start having this kind of shit to be able to work with in these last 69 days before the election.
Well, I think she have to. If Charlemagne, like he did, ask her like, so are you for reparations? She got to answer. But
yeah. I'm just saying, like, to come in and roll out this big ass scroll of the black bullet points and shit like that is what I'm talking about, to be wary of, because the whole nation is watching. You know what I mean? And if you're gonna go on there and say shit about reparations or about, say, if somebody tries to weaponize immigrant housing, like you said, it's one of 50 states. There's 49 other states that operate differently and talk about the big picture kind of shit. And with her overall agenda versus this one thing that they're trying to ding her with, her agenda, national agenda, would seem like the lesser of two evils. You know.
Well, I would say this: the biggest advantage she have over Barack is she already had bills and things that she tried to implement that was for Black people. So if people really go so, for example, the Black farmers thing, the reason why that was part of the rescue plan because she tried to get that push as a senator and she couldn't get that passed. Same thing with the George Floyd. Same thing with bills for
the lynching bill and shit like that.
Bills regarding helping Black women as far as
prenatal care and
prenatal care thing. So she already has a track record when it comes to trying to sponsor, whether she sponsored the bill, co-wrote the bill, as far as things. Because, come on, let's keep it real. We know Biden can come up and say, hey, you know what? We're going to send $16 billion to HBCUs. That was not Biden's idea. So, you know, right. and so, but those are already stuck. Those are already bills that alone she tried to try to pass and implement herself.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I still think that yeah, those types of talking points are cool. What you've done and where your head is at as far as looking out for Black people. I just think that she should lead with that kind of shit. This nigga Valiant George, man, Valiant George, dude.
Yeah, let me answer. So
don't answer that dude, man. He gonna send another tweet.
I think he was just talking about all the single Black women and stuff. I think he was talking about that shit, but he kind of lost me, cuz I don't know.
What?
Yeah, because it's funny. He says, well, for one, Black unemployment was at an all-time historic low. Since the statistic has been taken under Biden Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this whole no tax, no tip, that was Trump idea. So did Trump take her idea to decriminalize marijuana? Because that wasn't his position before.
Or the child tax credit. Biden
the child tax credit also all of a sudden he cared about women reproductive systems.
That's not you too.
we getting off our own itinerary and talking about this stuff.
Well, no,
because Batman can be Superman. Like
no, but V-Ray, I do, but see, V-Ray, I do want to address these things because these are the talking points that you see all the time, and I feel like people need to have the ammunition to go back at it and say this is just not true. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, like
that didn't even sound true though.
Like school choice is not a problem in California. It's really not. School choice ain't really an issue for kids in California.
Well, that's interesting because Trump want to get rid of the Board of Education.
Right.
That's part of Project 2025. It's that they want it because a big part of that because they don't want kids to be taught about Black history.
Yep.
Martin Luther King and certain people by name is already banned in certain states regarding
certain books.
In certain books.
Yep.
You serious?
Yeah.
Texas and Florida.
Yeah, Florida.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Because it
only takes one parent to complain about a book in Florida to get it under consideration.
Yeah, because they don't want white kids to feel bad about the racism from back in the day.
Yeah.
Which is racism in itself. You know don't teach. We gotta,
to be in a position to be like, we don't want y'all to feel bad, so we're getting rid of all these books.
Yeah, like it just didn't happen. Like if you want to teach it at home. Like it doesn't cease to exist. Well, I won't say that though. That it doesn't cease to exist if it's not a book because we already have a bunch of history that's omitted because of they went after libraries and shit when they used to conquer other, like Alexander the Great and shit like that. They go into a country and burn their books and their libraries and their papyrus notes and shit like that they had back in the day.
You know the craziest thing about Project 2025, whatever, is there's a portion in there. Did y'all read the portion about the Civil Rights Division in the DOJ?
No.
I did.
Well,
So for those that don't know, our DOJ have a Civil Rights Division, and what they are allowed to do, like put like consent decrees on police departments. So Obama put the most consent decrees on police department than all the presidents combined. All right. And then he had a law enforcement task force. So what a lot of people don't know, like the police department where the officer killed Mike Brown, they wasn't able to file federal charges on him. But what they did was they dismantled the entire police department, built it up from scratch, and the department had their first black chief. So that's the type of stuff that the Civil Rights Department of the DOJ monitor and look for, right? What they want to do in Project 2025 is they're gonna get rid of all the career employees that work there, replace them with MAGA, and the primary focus of the Civil Rights Division and the DOJ would make sure that white men are not being discriminated against.
the plague of the United States.
And what's crazy too, like you said, Quincy, to even back up what you're saying, like that some stuff has already been in place, and some stuff like all them consent decrees and all that. Trump, one of the first things he did when he got in with the DOJ,
removed all of them.
Ended all of them. He removed all of them. So just to show you that some of this stuff has been in play, and I know people like to say, "Well, Trump said he ain't got nothing to do with Project 2025." There's literally a video of this man at the Heritage Foundation saying they are going to draw up my policy for the next presidency. They're going to help us out a lot. There's literally a video saying it, and people still saying, "Oh, he said he ain't got nothing to do with it." I'm like, the amount of cognitive dissonance when it comes to this dude is insane.
It's insane. It's almost like a brainwash.
It gotta be the money. He gotta be paying somebody to shut up. There's no way. There's like, come on, bro. Come on, be realistic. Has this shit ever happened with any other president?
I think the timing is when he pulled up had a lot to do with the amount of people that just get behind him blindly. I mean, when you listen to and look at like a large percentage of his following and shit like that, I mean, he appeals to the undereducated followers and at this point in time with the diatribe about how the white man is being erased and aren't getting their proper respect. It ain't even really rights. It's just like, a white man used to be able to walk down the street and tell you shut the fuck up and don't make eye contact with me and shit like that. But for real, and that shit is rolled back. So there are some people that was already feeling some kind of way about this whole evolution. And when Trump came along, was voice it, huh?
And it was like backlash to it's like the white lash to Barack being
president. That was the beginning.
Too. All of that.
Was the beginning.
Y'all gonna make a nigger president on top of everything else? You know what I'm saying? So when Trump came along saying, he's not American and he's Muslim and it's gonna be what do they call it? Syrian law, whatever it is that they have over in the Middle East and shit like that. If dude gets to be president and all the stuff that he carried forward, people jumped on that bandwagon big time. And plus all the closeted militias and clavins that were in hiding and shit like that. They all came out and started putting on suits and running for office and shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's the money like he's individually got factions that work for him, and he probably does have some. Don't get me wrong, but I think the timing of when he showed up with with the racist message that he was willing to say out loud. Well, I'd say the racist message. I'm using the term loosely, but you know what I'm saying. With him coming up saying a lot of the shit that he would have the nerve to say out
Blah.
loud.
That's
Yeah,
racist. Come
yeah.
on, bro.
I mean, it's a lot of racist shit, but I'm just saying that the people that hold that same mentality that wouldn't normally say that shit, you know, are the people that got behind him and stay behind him even to this day and shit. And that's
yeah.
when you saw a rash of a lot of white people getting their ass whooped about 6 years ago and shit, when motherfuckers was emboldened to start coming up saying crazy shit to motherfuckers and get out of the country and speak English, and they getting their ass beat. They all the TikTok content and shit like that. That's because motherfuckers felt emboldened by this new white messiah that's willing to stand up for white rights.
Yeah, and to that point, the Republican, you remember those people was the Tea Party. Mm-hmm. And the Republicans, the Republicans flirted because they was willing to win by any means necessary with the Tea Party shit.
Yep.
And they thought like, okay, we just gonna use it from there, and they shit got hijacked. And now they will.
Man, take that shit off the screen, bro.
Now we got
stupid shit. That's stupid as hell, bro. Look at
that's
this.
Valiant Thor, ain't it,
bro? Look at this nigga, man. You got locks. You making me look bad. Like, come on, bro.
Hey, look, you can see that it's like in the middle of a Trump rally.
Yeah, all the people in the background. I was hoping that shit was AI when you were telling me about that earlier, man.
No, ain't no AI. Look at their shirts. Niggas for Trump.
I know, but I'm just saying that's some AI kind of shit, like Trump in the hood posing with all the OGs and shit like that.
You know what though? When I see stuff like that, it always reminds me that Harry had to shoot a couple motherfuckers, and it's, you know, unfortunately that we had people even back then that was willing to go help the slave master go catch escaped slaves, black folks. Right. You know? So it's shameful. I mean, even when I hear like if you look at most of our like downfalls, it was one of us that participated in that betrayal somewhere.
Well, yeah, that's a whole different level.
Yeah,
though, to me, those people in the shirts. A horrible disservice to the black community is singing at Trump's inauguration. You know what I'm saying? Are the two sisters? I forgot their names. They used to cape
Silk and Diamond.
One of them died. Yeah, that's a disgrace. What these people are doing, going around at the lily white Republican National Convention, if that's where that was, with niggas for Trump shirts on and just parading around and shit and Make America Great hats. That's some other shit, man, to me.
And I want to say this real quick too before we move on to the next thing. I do think it's interesting. Like I had conversation with a young man, like my boy E, and I had a conversation with a young lady who's also like a conservative. And it's funny because it's like they really kind of don't like Trump, but it's like, you know, you've been like how a lot of people are Democrats. They've been Democrats all their life. They don't know how to do nothing else. But it's funny because having a conversation with both of them, one thing I realized is, and one of them actually said this to me, they were like, damn, it's crazy because you're talking to me about the federal immunity, and I never even thought about that because I'm on my little white bubble, so that shit would never touch me. Mm-hmm. So it never would affect me. So I wouldn't even think about it. But they said, but now that somebody I know could be affected, it changes the way that I look at that and the way that I think about that. And I'm like, I think that's gotta, some part of that should be the message for how you get those people who are on the fence, right? Those people who is like, maybe I'll be RFK, because I think we got away from where, you know, I think one thing, the conversation used to just end because everybody used to be like, if you vote for Trump, you racist, and that was it, right? There was no more conversation. But I think what up, Channy Chan? I think there are more like people who are basically holding their nose and voting for Trump because they don't like what the Democratic side is doing. Like I said, with some of the things that they expressed to me, which I didn't think was crazy, right? Like if you saying like my kids are in school, I don't want this to happen. I don't think that's really crazy of them to feel that way about, the Democrats, especially when those things are the things that get pushed to the forefront in regards to like what the way they feel like the party is going that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you feel like, oh, the party is going this way, because one thing my guy said, he said, look, man, he said, I feel like they couldn't, like he said, I feel like they're starting to acquiesce too much to certain stuff that does feel a little far left. You know what I mean? And he was like, and who's gonna push back in the Democratic Party on that? He said, because I don't see nobody in the Democratic Party like, because they don't. He said, because they don't want to get like ostracized for saying like, I think
Jasmine Crockett will push back.
You think she will?
Hell yeah. I mean, she didn't already, like the fact that she was willing to tell them straight up, if it's any other candidate other than Kamala, I ain't campaigning for. That I think that there's, because she knows. I think she's at her ceiling in Texas. She won't ever be a senator in Texas. She knows, right? But she gonna always win her district, and I think she knows she's at her. So people who kind of like in that space to where like they already at their ceiling as far as like where they can move from. I think that's why she's able to be outspoken. I think she knows she's gonna win her district. But I think that some of the issues I see that people are having is like you're not gonna like I said, I don't agree with everything.
Right.
But what are you willing to compromise?
Right. And I think that's the conversation.
Like even my Gaza people, I hear y'all and I feel y'all, but the one issue voters, like what because it's like, okay, you're not gonna vote for Kamala, but do you know what Trump is gonna allow Israel to do to Gaza? I mean, to the Palestine. I mean, like, what are you willing to compromise?
Right. On what are you like? Because there's a lot of, and that's the other thing it's not annoying, but it's interesting to watch. There's a lot of one issue voters, right? There's a lot of one issue, like people voting based strictly on Gaza, people voting strictly based on the economy, people voting strictly based on the border, right? There are a lot of one issue voters out there. And the crazy thing is a lot of the one issue voters, the things that they're one issue besides Gaza and Palestine, they lean towards Trump. Right? The those that's only voting based on the economy, those that's only voting based on immigration, those that's, you know what I'm saying, those that's voting on those things strictly, most of them lean Trump. So like I said, it'll be interesting to see how they try to tackle
because see, like, so I have issues. Well, I definitely have issues with local Democrats where I love that. Like, but I also understand on a federal level, for instance, I see where this roadmap is going. If you they have got rid of affirmative action, Roe v. Wade, the 1965 Voting Rights Act.
Yep.
Civil rights is next.
Right. Oh, absolutely. It's absolutely
the civil rights is next. I'm telling y'all. Civil rights is next.
It's always been the target. They just have to chip away at it in pieces. Yeah, like they do.
And so the fact that because I don't agree with a couple of issues, I know. And I think our generation, what I'm trying to avoid is people understand you really don't want to have to be in it until you realize that we in it.
Right.
Because we're really the first generation who was born with all our rights.
Yeah.
If you're in your 40s, maybe early 50s, you're first generation born.
Yeah, my pops wasn't even born with all his civil rights.
Born with all your rights. So we haven't really felt what it's like when you don't have voting rights, when you don't have your civil rights. We really haven't felt what that's like. And and I don't know what people are willing to compromise because of that. But if you look at the roadmap that has been laid out, look, the 1965 Voting Rights Act was not touched for years. I'm gonna tell you how cold it is. In 2006, voting rights passed 98-0 in the Senate. The only reason why it didn't pass 100-0 because 2 of the senators didn't show up. In 2006, right? What happened in 2008 that changed?
Barack Obama became
Barack Obama.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So to the point that they was like, oh, that shit Martin and them was marching for it. We need to go back and snatch that away from them.
Yeah, and not only voting rights, but it's voting rights and changing the lining of the districts to take away people. Like they've been doing a whole bunch of that, like changing districts to take votes. Like it's been surgical. I'm
about to say that. Go and look at what North Carolina Supreme Court said about the targeting and gerrymandering and voter suppression. Exactly what Dame just said. Say they went after black voters with surgical precision.
Yep.
Civil rights is next.
And if you look at some of those voting lines, that shit it's all scriggly. It ain't like a straight line separating the district.
They figured out how to
blocks.
They figured out how to gerrymander in such a way that they basically cutting up the pie exactly how they want to.
Right.
To change the electorate in the electoral college.
And to your point, Quincy, about this being the first generation born without their rights, I think what has happened with this generation is that the rights as a priority, the importance of it has descended over these decades of separation from when it was done, right, or when it was voted in, and the importance of it, keeping it in the forefront has become less prevalent because it's always been that way, right? So the people that have been feeling butthurt about it haven't been voted in all that time. This is their time to be able to take advantage and roll that shit back without nobody being at the helm to say, hey, what the fuck are y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? And back that shit, beat it back, legislate with legislation and judge appointments and whatever, needed to be in place in the first place when it was done. So, and I said this kind of jokingly a couple of weeks ago, but really the Klan members or the Klan mentality type people have really come out of the cross burning and lynching and all that shit and put on suits and run for office. What's old boy's name? The old school dude that was a Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, David Duke. It was the beginning of that mentality where you can blend in and be just have a racist an agenda as you've always had, but now you position yourself to do it from a legislative standpoint and not just having the blacks in your county scared you're gonna beat them up if they come to vote and shit like that. You change what the rules of the game are. You know what I'm saying? So they've been able to navigate into those spaces and do that. And I'm not like a super anti-white people and shit like that. But what I am saying is that we've been lulled to sleep over these 40 years. Yeah. Right. So now it's easier to say to do these things, and I don't think that people are getting a response. We may be seeing more response now, but only in my opinion, because the internet and shit like that is available to share that kind of information and share that mentality and find like-minded people without being segregated by distance. But the strategy has been in play for a long time, and this just happens to be the time with a Trump kind of mouthpiece at the forefront of it and shit.
Supreme Court.
Yeah, and the Supreme Court is stacked up just right.
And it looks like they might win a Senate this year.
Who knows? I think the women's rights thing is going to be the game changer in all these congressional and Senate seats and shit. But I'm just saying that my whole point was basically that over time, this 40, 50 year period you're talking about has been the playing field for these changes to take shape that we're seeing now.
Just think about it. The Democrats haven't won a white vote since LBJ passed the Civil Rights Act.
Yep.
Think about that. So let you know, people have been pissed off for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They've been pissed off.
And then Barack took it over the top. That was it.
That was it.
That was it. That was the last straw.
That was it.
That was it. That was the last straw.
And one time, me and Dame on our old show, we had a former LAPD deputy chief. Hopefully, we could get him on here, Chief Downey. And I won't ever forget. Dame asked him because he's like in his late, he's like 80 something now.
Mm-hmm.
Dame asked him hey, so who do you compare Trump to? We thought he was gonna be like Richard Nixon or Ronald Reagan or something like that. He said Alabama Governor George Wallace. Yeah. For those who don't know who George Wallace is, his famous quote: "Segregation now, segregation forever." And so the fact that all white men, when we asked him to compare Trump to somebody, we compared him to one of the most racist governors in this country's history.
Openly and outwardly.
Openly.
Yeah.
Openly.
Yeah.
No surprise, man.
That was that. Yeah.
None at all.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if y'all saw, there was a letter that Mark Zuckerberg sent. I guess it was an op-ed, but he basically was saying that the Biden administration was trying to censor and squash, people talking about COVID-19. And he said he felt like he was under pressure to censor people on Facebook, which honestly, I feel like I was a victim of, because they started letting AI bots pull off anything they wanted to, and just, they was dinging people. Like, you remember one time everybody was in Facebook jail, like we was all in handcuffs getting the perp walk to Facebook jail. Mm-hmm. So I think this goes back to that time. But what do you think of the letter? Do you think timing wise, right, it's a bad look for the Biden administration? And also, do you think they should have done that at that moment in time?
I think the Billionaire Boys Club is pulling together, like Elon Musk is doing his bit for Trump, and now Mark Zuckerberg is doing his version of who was it that was it James Comey that pulled out the Hillary reopened the Hillary Clinton case just before the election that year and shit. They're just trying to pull out some bottom of the ninth with two strikes ass scandal shit to to get shit bubbling because Trump is not doing it on his own. I
was say, I did think that I thought the timing was a little funny on that, but go ahead and finish your thought. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, but the timing of it is reminiscent of that, and really, to an extent, I don't really think that what they were asking for at that time. If you go back to that snapshot in time where there was a bunch of rumors and shit like that being posted, just like now, I guess. But at that time, it was a volatile time with COVID going on and the shit with China being accused of being the source of it and all the shit. And people were just out there just posting whatever the fuck they wanted to, you know what I'm saying? Especially in the wake of the election interference type of posting and everything that Russia was doing at the time. It was by then it was just a free for all. It was understood you could put shit out there and manipulate the country's thinking, or at least some segments of it. So somebody should have said, "Hey, if somebody puts up XYZ, look at that shit with a grain of salt, if you will, and disallow some types of posts that are demonstrably false from being." This is like fact. They should have done something. I think Twitter. I'm sure. Sorry, not Twitter, but Instagram and shit should have been more responsive in that way too when it first came up. I mean, they eventually were, but I'm just saying that I don't think that was out of bounds. They weren't saying just put our messaging through and don't put the Republicans' messaging through necessarily. It was, from what I read anyway, and I didn't read all of it, but what I read, it was more to do with what was being said about COVID.
Okay.
Was that all it was? Because
that's all. That's what it was basically. But like you said, but it feels like is kind of being pushed like, yo, the Biden administration is trying to like use their influence to
Right, and control the
utilize
narrative.
how we yeah.
But it was like it's about COVID, nigga. It wasn't like Trump, some lie about Trump or you know what I'm saying, something other than it was a health issue that the storyline needed to be controlled on. It wasn't like Trump is over there raping them little kids and shit or some shit where it's like, that's some actionable shit. They should have had to ask, you know what I'm saying, if it's fucking up and getting the types of panic that it could possibly generate. I would have been, if I'm in control of that kind of publication, they should have done something anyway. I don't know if it was that, but I'm just saying, I don't think Biden's administration was out of line to ask that, and they didn't have to do it anyway, even if they did ask him.
Right, and he did, because he said I didn't have to do it, but I felt like I was under extreme pressure to do
That
it.
sounded like he gave him some pussy and shit. Sorry, ladies, but it just sounded like, it just seemed like if I didn't, it wouldn't work out well or something. Like, nigga, you're a billionaire and shit. Like, who's gonna make you do some shit if you felt pressure? You Mark Zuckerberg.
Right. So I just wanted to bring it up and talk about it too, because I thought that was interesting. I thought the timing was interesting, but I also thought if they are doing that, like you said, outside of for like COVID and fact checking, then that could be a problem in the future. Because if you had it from the other side of Trump saying, if his administration was saying, and it's funny because that's what it feels like is happening on X. If you go on X, almost every advertisement is a Trump advertisement. Like
that shit is crazy.
Every pop-up ad has been a Trump ad on X. Like Elon Musk has given that platform over to Trump.
Well, yeah. I mean, yep.
Those tax cuts are great for them.
Yeah, and that's why they want them back. Like the super rich, they want them back bad, because them tax cuts, not only tax cuts and deregulation, because he deregulated so many businesses, which is one of the many reasons we have this price gouging going on, because he deregulated the business so they could basically do whatever they want and turn their prices up however they want with no regulation. That was another thing, right? So they really are like, we need Trump back, because those tax cuts had them right. Not only the tax cuts, he's not for the union, so he would anything for the union to, you know what I'm saying, people did not have to pay the unions. Those big corporations, they're gonna love that, and they're gonna put tens of millions of dollars in the back in Trump because of the way those tax cuts worked out, because the way he doesn't really back unions. He backs the billionaires over the union and the workers. And again, like I always say, you don't believe me, you can go look at the paperwork, look at who that tax cut helped, look at the debt ratio and how that went and where all the money went with the deficit. You know what I'm saying? Shannon said, aren't unions supposed to be the American way? They're supposed to be, but Trump,
boy's not for America.
Like Trump told himself when he did the interview with Elon Musk, he said, I love the way you dealt with those unions. You got rid of their ass quick, fast, and in a hurry. I'm like, he literally said that in the interview. He's like, I ain't gonna say the name of the company, but I like how you fired everybody, how you got rid of everybody. So there's so many things that should just disqualify dude from people wanting to vote for him. But like I said,
that's the thing that gets me. He doesn't throw rocks and hide his hands. And people they still think that that's a character, like that's a sign of character for the dude to be an asshole, to be rude, to be this and that, to be ruthless in dealing with the people that you're supposed to be saying that you support, and the lies alone. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, he said he wasn't with 2025. Nigga, of course he said he wasn't with 2025. He ain't gonna outwardly say, well, we do need to do something about the blacks and their civil rights. He gonna say, oh no, I don't even know who runs it. And then when he's in office, he gonna do what the hell he want to do and shit. So seeing those things, how could you be enthusiastic about supporting somebody like that?
Well, it's the same as when he talked about when he originally ran. and he talked about how he mentioned about making marijuana legal, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the moment he got in, his attorney general, because Obama has sent out a memo to federal prosecutors to not prosecute on marijuana because certain states was legalizing. The first thing Trump AG did was get rid of Obama memo, and they start charging folks federally for marijuana again. So I'm like, Trump. Trump is known to be a con artist, and it's still mind-boggling how many people still believe what he says. Like this, is what he does.
I know that's the thing that above all of the terrible things that dude does, to be able to look at somebody, lie in their face, or especially somebody who depends on, your legislation and stuff for their livelihoods. Like the people in the southern and the poorest states are the ones that are behind this dude. Like if somebody can look at you and lie, and you still be like, I don't care what he does, grab him by the pussy, he can do this, and this, and it's still this undying loyalty to their own detriment. It's just like,
I mean,
you built different as hell, man.
And the thing about it is, he humiliates his followers, and they don't even realize it. Like one time, he said, "I want to thank my uneducated followers."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I want to thank my uneducated voters." And then another time, he said, I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue, ain't shit gonna happen. Like people still support me." He said that, and you remember we like what? But it turned out to be true.
Yeah.
I watch those interviews like Jordan Klepper and those people that go out and like interview people at Trump rallies and stuff like that. And even though they do it in a comedic way, the people that they talk to, bro, you can't tell them shit about what anything that Trump did. If, for example, I thought it was hilarious once where a dude went out and he was describing all this horrendous shit. Like, I hear Obama cheated on his wife when she was pregnant, and she did this and did that, and he said he's going to do this thing, and he didn't, and da da da. They were like, "Well, that shit's horrible. We need to get him the hell out of office." He's like, "Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. That was actually Donald Trump. What do you think about that?" And they're like, "Well, I don't care. He's a great man, and he's a man of God." And all this shit. Like, bro,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is like amazing.
It is. It's like it really is like a cult of personality.
I think the worst one is when they interview a Trump supporter, and they sitting up there, and he's like, "So, what you think Obama should have did during 9/11?"
Oh yeah.
And the dude is blaming Obama for 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, "Who's responsible for 9/11?"
Yeah, for 9/11, Obama. It's insane, and that I mean he even did his whole platform past year. I got rid of Roe v. Wade. I got rid of. Now he realizing that shit ain't popular. Just the other day, oh, women could trust me with their productive system.
Yeah, it's so crazy. But I want to read Shannon's comment. She said it's disconcerting to see so many black people who put on a K for him and take pride in denigrating Kamala Harris. And this is what I've had an issue with, Shannon, because I tell people like, yo, vote for who you want to vote for, but voting for Trump and spreading misinformation to try to get other people to do it and hiding behind this, like literally just a ball of lies when it comes to her. And my thing is, keep the same energy. Like those questions that you asking of Kamala, like why aren't you asking those questions of Trump? That's what I don't understand. If they like, what did Kamala say about reparations? I'm like, okay, cool. What did Trump say about reparations? You know what I mean? Like, oh, what did Trump say about what did she do about the border? I'm like, well, let's see what Trump actually did do with the border, because that wall that he said he was gonna build ain't up. Like, why do they go so hard for Trump and asking certain questions? Which I said, I don't mind you asking questions. Ask questions all you want of the candidate that you are going to vote for. But if you're asking those questions, why aren't you asking those same questions of your candidate? If you're saying that's your guy, why is she getting held to the standard of what she did and didn't do as vice president, but you're not holding Trump to the standard of what he did and didn't do as president? Because he has to too. So that's the thing I don't understand about these black folks who are like going so hard for Trump. It's like, okay, why don't you have the same energy for Trump as you have for Kamala Harris when it comes to the questions you're asking, when it comes to the things you say that you don't like? Because I'm like, okay, if we look at both sides, if we really take a look at statistics and really look at both sides, but at the end of the day, we know a lot of times that's not what it's really about. As we've seen from a couple of conversations we had, a lot of these people just don't think a black woman should be president.
Yeah.
And these from black people, when it boils down to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 I mean, oh, go ahead, Dan.
Oh, I'm just reading these comments. I'm gonna go through the comments real quick. For a person who really does what he says, I don't see how black people in particular can side with terrorists. He is the modern day Jim Jones, and they are drinking the juice, knowing it's poison. Shannon Perkins said right to what I just said about it. He said they only attack Kamala, which is very telling and proves we want more from our own and we'll settle for less from anyone else. That's the comment of the motherfucking night right there.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they only attack Kamala, which is very telling and proves we want more from our own and we'll settle for less from everyone else. Happens in politics, business, and their personal lives. And this is so true. Because like I said, I've never heard, because the amount of black people I heard, what did she do as vice president? I was like, I've never heard people say when Al Gore was winning, what did Al Gore do as vice president? What did Joe Biden do as vice president? It's never a question because you know the vice president doesn't make the decisions that president. Yeah, what did Mike Pence do? Like these are things we have not heard when you're talking about the discourse of speaking about the next president. And we've had a lot of vice presidents run, and a lot of vice presidents have run, and nobody ever was like, oh, everything that president did, that's your record. That's not how it works, because anybody who took first, second, and third grade civics knows the vice president serves at the pleasure of the president.
Mhm.
They are there to be a sounding board to go out and help spread their agenda, help spread their word, help spread, the things that they want. They like, so like Biden's policies, and y'all can go look this up. Biden policies are not the exact same as Barack Obama's policies. They're very different guys. I think Barack was actually more moderate than Biden, even though we thought Biden was the moderate. It feels like Biden is actually more progressive and liberal than Barack Obama on a lot of the stuff he did. Like you said, like you talked about earlier, Quincy, with the amount of black judges that he put on, with putting a black woman on the Supreme Court, with a lot of other trying to give black farmers billions of dollars, giving $16 billion to the HBCUs. Like all of these things were a little more progressive and liberal. But and then on the other side, when it comes to the border, he is not as harsh on the border as Barack Obama was. And that's not to say that he's soft on the border, because like people like say we have open borders. That's not true. Never been true. But they are very different as president and vice president. So this whole play, like Ron said, this standard that they hold in Kamala to, that they hold no other vice president to, it's a little odd to me, especially when it's coming specifically from black person.
Yeah, but just like in work, the black person got to go 3 times as hard for the same level of respect.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's fucking insane.
yeah.
bro.
So that's been interesting to watch. Because like I said, I'll be like, all right, cool. Like I understand if you want to ask questions about Kamala and her record, feel free. But I don't see you asking the same questions about Trump, which is odd to me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's just crazy. So she's finally going to do a sit down, because that's like the only one thing that the Republicans have been like using as, I guess that was their only trump card.
No pun intended.
Yeah, that was like their only trump card that they were saying, well, she won't sit down for an interview. And then Trump was like, she won't sit down there for an interview because she's scared. She's not smart enough. She don't, she can't sit down for an interview. So her and Walls are doing an interview tomorrow on CNN. So I'm interested to see what that's going to be like. And then we have the debate in 2 weeks. Now, let me ask y'all something. Do y'all think she'll be able to dog walk Trump in this debate?
Hell yeah. You great,
with the
man.
with the mics turned
Hell
off
yeah.
in between, yeah.
Hell yeah. No doubt.
I think she baited him.
With the chicken video.
No, she baited him with, I want the mics on. And then I want the mics off. When that really was what she wanted. Because now she get to fact check him and he can't interrupt.
Oh,
Damn.
And as a prosecutor, she can come at him from a different angle as far as like the back and forth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because he's a criminal, she's an attorney, a
so
criminal
she
attorney.
Lamar, nigga. She Kendrick Lamar, nigga. Quincy.
Basically.
She baited him.
Nice.
She baited his ass into that, because I was thinking like, well, open mic, I was like, wait a minute. Then when I saw Trump people like, no, we want the mics up, I said, oh, they don't even see the left hook.
Yeah.
That's the left hook. So his mic gonna be off, and she gonna be able to fact check him, which he hates.
Yeah.
Right. Because I feel like because I know they say the race is still really close. I know but they say like momentum is on their side. They say like I think South Carolina's in play now. I think Georgia's in play now.
Yeah.
Arizona's in play. Like there are states that weren't close to being in play at all for Joe Biden that are now in play, which means because people saying, well, she did all this good momentum and it's only a tie. I said, do you realize it's a tie because she had to erase a huge lead? She had the fucking second half Tom Brady this shit with the Atlanta Hawks. It was 27-0.
The crazy thing is that because folks made a big deal out of her not doing interviews, she had to do a month in campaigning to catch up to a year head start.
That's crazy.
Like Trump been campaigning for like the last year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she had to push her own agenda, push, her own deal, all in like what? It's been 4 weeks now?
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Yeah, 4 weeks.
Yeah. So
that's what I said. Like she erased a 28-0 time lead and got it
tied up.
And mind you, without interviews. So
right.
She did all that without this big gaping thing that they said is her Achilles heel. She already, you know what I'm saying? She's neck and neck with dude, or depending on which poll you believe. But I think the debate is going to be a game changer. You know what I'm saying? I think they're actually managing her campaign brilliantly with utilizing social media and the types of advertising that they're doing, going for his weakness of like attacking, doing direct personal attacks on him, and the whole Obama thing with the hands, and you know what I'm saying? It's just orchestrated perfectly because his playbook is known. You know what I'm saying? He ain't pulling nothing new out of the hat. So they know how to get under his skin and shit like that, and they have some of the platforms that appeal to the public. I think that this thing about housing, what did y'all think about that? Let me ask that. The announcement that she made about trying to establish like 3 million homes during her presidency and stuff like that to address some of the housing issues.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good policy because, like somebody said, I was watching Economist, and he was saying, like the problem ain't just loans, because a lot of presidents come in and say we're gonna give more home loans, right? He said the problem is you give out all these loans, and people are all running around with the same loans to buy the same 6 or 7 houses. You know what I mean? Like there's just not enough houses for a lot of people to buy in a lot of places, and I think that's good because building homes also that also boosts the economy as well, right? Because that's more work, that's more jobs. It's creating work, it's creating jobs. So I actually think it's smart all around for the economy. And it's funny because people are like, well, how's she gonna pay for it? Like, y'all only ask how you gonna pay for it when it's something that actually benefit the people. Y'all don't never say how you gonna pay for it when you talk about the billions of dollars that the Pentagon get. You don't never ask how they're gonna pay for it when you talk about war. You don't never they only ask how you're going to pay for it when it's something that actually directly benefits the people. That's the only time y'all care about the deficit, is when it's something that's going to actually benefit the people. But I think it's a smart play and a smart way to say, not only are we going to give people the money to be able to buy homes and help, impoverished people get into homes, we also going to have millions of jobs built into this now, because we know we have to build these 3 million homes. So that's a bunch of jobs that's going to, come about. So
and there's surrounding infrastructure too.
Yeah. Like I think it's like a kind of like a good all around plan, and I like to see what she says more in depth. And I'm interested, in if tomorrow on their sit down interview, because her and Walsh together, which I think is also very smart. Like you said, V-Ray, they've been running this shit brilliantly. But for the first interview to be the two of them together, because I think they're going to use him as her attack dog.
Yeah.
Like because I've noticed even when they've been on these trips, when they've been doing their rallies, he could say all the shit she can't say. He could say all the shit that a white man can say, basically, to keep it 100.
There it is.
But a black woman all kind of shit for saying. You know what I'm saying? Like he gets to go out there and he get to be her pit bull. And I think having him in the interview with her, he gets to continue to be her pit bull. And because I know their biggest thing is like, oh, we want to see why she changed her mind on fracking. Like first of all, how many politicians haven't changed their position? Like they was talking about how when Barack was running for Senate, he was like, yeah, marriage is between a man and a woman. I'm not for gay marriage. And they like, because they know if he would have said he was for gay marriage in that Senate race, he would not have won.
Yeah.
They said, but you can go back to before that where he was actually for gay marriage. But they like, when you running in certain places, certain spaces, you got to play politics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was telling people, I said when they had her running against Biden, they was trying to make her be different from Biden. So they was trying to have her run a little left of Biden. So that's why they had her on that different playbook. But again, I feel like all she had to say is, well, I have the experience now as vice president, so I could see things, from a more like experience position. So that's why I changed my mind, because I had to do this, Like if that was me, I would lean on her vice president experience to say, oh, I made this change because as the vice president, this is my experience, and my experience changed the way I looked at it because I was actually in the job now. There's a difference in looking on the outside and being actually in the job. That would be the angle I would take. So I'm interested to see the angle she would take on the things that she's changed her mind on, because I know they're gonna ask her about fracking. They're gonna ask her about well, not Black Lives Matter, but the defund the police, which nobody brought up for years now. But like those are that they've been saying over and over again, trying to be a stickler on. So
and she just needs to explain that like she has always explained it. Reallocating funds, placing funds. That's always been her position.
Well, and they don't, and she don't even have to, like, all she had to say is look at what the budgets we gave to the police when I was the president and vice president. Yeah. Like they didn't lower the budgets. They didn't lower, you know what I'm saying? Ain't like she got in there and actually moved allocation. She didn't. So like I'll be like, you can look at my record.
And could she anyway?
Yeah, look at my record. Like I said that in 2019, but this is what I actually did. This is my record. So it'll be interesting to see. I hope she hits it straight up instead of trying to dance around it. Like I hope she's forceful like she was in her DNC speech, like because I think that's the thing that she has to do to continue to look presidential, is to hit shit head on.
Some of the things that they're questioning her on, and I know this has come up before, but she's not even directly responsible or have the red pen to reject that kind of shit anyway. It's not a one person decision, and she wasn't the damn president.
Right.
But this came to mind when we were talking about the housing thing, is that when you were saying what some of the things that they can clap back with on some of the stuff that's going on in California, like the immigrants getting $150,000 loans for houses. An even bigger picture is there's 3 million houses that we're projecting for her presidential term, and that's the lesser of two evils kind of thing that I was talking about. And a way to address that kind of stuff is because, I mean, you made some excellent points about housing, and that's the kind of shit that she can say in response to that. I know that was an hour ago, but it just brought to mind some of those kind of responses to those types of criticisms. Then one other thing that I would add to that that nobody asked, mind you, is that with these 3.5 million or however many houses it's supposed to be, if they make sure that they exclude corporate corporations from buying out those houses, to make sure that they're available to the regular families and stuff like that, and not taken hostage by corporations to keep driving up the price of the real estate market and housing and apartments and all that shit like that. That'll definitely have help level the playing field as far as what the pricing, how those prices are skyrocketing for housing in every state.
That's a great point, and I know she had mentioned something like that because they said they wanted to mention like excluding them, the
Yeah,
corporation from being able to, because that's one of the reasons the housing prices have been driven up so high.
right.
Because it's like in me and my pops was just talking about this yesterday. They are coming in neighborhoods just buying up all the houses wholesale in one neighborhood, and now they setting the prices after they buy the house, put a little paint on it, change the tile, put a little gentrification gate on the front, and then they sell that joint. And now it's like you price the people who in the neighborhood out of the neighborhood.
Yeah,
So I definitely hope that that is part of it. But you also have to be leery because I know as much as one thing, they have big corporate donors. So if one of those big corporate donors is one of those kind of real estate companies, I don't know if they'll be able to exclude them 100%. You know what I mean? Because like
yeah,
I know they said like at the DNC, I think they said the suites was 2 million a piece.
yeah. I saw that.
So you know who's in there. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
you know who's in the 2 million a piece suites.
Yeah,
So it'll like I said, I want to see how they balance that out because at some point, they're gonna have to pay the piper on that type of stuff. So,
yeah.
but I'm interested, looking forward to the debate. 'Cause like I said, I think, like you said, V Ray, I think the debate could be a game changer. If he actually dog walks him
That
in the
I would be
debate,
the
just like
best
it
of all.
changed for Trump, just like it shifted Trump for Biden, like if she could basically dog walk him and do the same thing, I think she could end that dude the night of the debate if she does it right.
If his tweets go up that night, they did it. Because like they said, he tweeted like 60 tweets during the
The
Kamala
DNC,
Harris. Yeah,
yeah, he was
one
hey, look,
night
he
in
was
one
watching
night he did
all of
like
it,
60.
bro. He was watching all of it, hate tweeting, like he was like watching. It was like watching pop up video back in the MTV.
Yeah.
Like he was seeing what was happening. He was like,
And childish shit like he wasn't head coach, he was assistant coach when he
yeah,
like made that post about like, aren't you the president, motherfucker? Don't you have some shit to do? Aren't you running for president? Why are you like tweeting like weak ass tweets and shit? Like, you know what I'm saying? His tie is so ugly. Or
yeah.
some shit like you a grown ass man. Why are you even don't you have staff to insult tweet for you and shit?
Man,
Well, like Quincy sent me something earlier today where it's like they like we living rent free in his head. Like he said, Kamala's so fake. Everything she does is fake. Like I'm like, he sound like a 15-year-old girl, bro.
Yeah, exactly. I'm better looking than her. Like, dude.
I think,
I'm saying shit like that.
and I think that's what she kind of have to like sneak in those little punches during the debate because it's gonna trigger him.
Yeah.
I would tell her like, look, the moment he step out of line, say something like, you know what? He's not used to following rules. He don't follow the Constitution. He can't follow the rules of the debate. And obviously he don't follow the rules of the law of the land. That's why he got 30 for a conviction.
Yeah.
No, she should come even more with her blade. Like it's gonna cost you more than $115,000. How much did he give her?
Stormy Daniels?
Was it 130 or 115?
Oh yeah, all that. She
like
anytime,
$115,000.
I would tell her anytime he step out of line, attack an insecurity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go in on the insecurity. Like I would even start off the debate because nobody's gonna be in there. I was like, well, you used
there's
to
no
this.
audience?
Yeah, there's no audience. So I'll be like,
I
you know
didn't know
what?
that
You kind of used to talking to empty buildings. I'm not. I would start them off just exactly just attacking his insecurity because I would tell her your goal is for him to call you a black bitch on
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
I'm just waiting for the hard R.
Yeah. That's what you.
That's all I'm waiting for.
Yeah, like you black nigger, like
Yeah, you black. Yeah, I can't wait for it.
his
That's
ass.
right. So we got him.
Yeah.
Nah, yeah.
Go after the toupee. That'll be it. There'll be a fist fight on the debate then. Your fucking hairdo should come with a chin strap, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna cut to
if
commercial
she
right
roasted
now.
him, I would cry. I'm like, she need to be president just because he got roasted.
I mean, although she won't do this, but I was shit. Like if he tried that bullshit where he was walking behind Hillary
Yeah,
to intimidate her. If I was
Yeah.
Kamala, I'd be like, you know what? I'm really not worried about him because I got God behind me. But I would say this: I hope he don't try to grab me by the pussy.
Don't rape me while I'm talking.
Yeah.
That would be perfect. That would be
Yeah,
perfect.
like I said, I'm interested to see what strategy they take because he claims he's not. I'm not even preparing, but they already said that he brought in Tulsi Gabbard to prep him for the debate. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Anything y'all want to add before we get out of here?
Wild Bunch got a show coming up.
Yes, Wild Bunch got a show coming up, Montebello, Sunday evening. You can go to all of our social media and
All
get
white.
all white party this Sunday. TG3, you know how it go down. If it's a TG3 party, you already know what it's like. You already know it's gonna be stupid. So go to my social media at Dame Wild, or if you watch it on Facebook, look up probably above. I done posted it. I've been posting on my story the past few days. Or if you don't know how to get it, let me know. I'll text it to you. I'll inbox it to you directly. If you want to come to the show, let me know, and I'll make sure I send y'all the information. We will be in Montebello. What's the name of the spot, V-Ray?
Shit, don't make me lie about that, man. I forgot the name of it.
Let me pull up the flyer. I had a flyer.
Hold on, man.
That too.
I got the flyer right here because I want to at least give the information on the air. All right. So TG3 presents all white party live performances upstairs by the Wild Bunch, September 1st, located at 901 Via San Clemente, Montebello. 901 Via San Clemente, Montebello. That's September 1st, 5 to 11 p.m. Dress
Emphasis on
all white.
All white, not JD Vance white though. But I wanted to emphasize that it's upstairs because people were in attendance last time. They have 2 levels, and apparently with the DJ downstairs, if you aren't aware that the band is up there, you may not know when we hit because of the split level. So the upstairs indication on the flyer is there for a reason.
Yeah. So we'll be upstairs, and I guess we might have to go downstairs and let people know, especially.
Yeah, I think that too. Yeah, before we go
downstairs, let them know that we're going up in 20 minutes. Come on upstairs. So,
yeah.
So come see us. Come rock with us. Rock with the Wild Bunch, man. This Sunday, Labor Day weekend, it's gonna be fun. TG3. Thanks everybody. Thanks Quincy for joining tonight. Always love it when you get on. Got a chance to hop with us. T-Rex, I'll be on the way to get you in a little bit.
let me plug one thing right quick, man.
Please do.
Real quick, I'm casting for this film that's it's a 1999 era coming of age film. So I'm looking for some young actors to fill 5 roles: 4 males between 16 and 20, and a female between 17 and 20. Yeah, put your hand down, Rex. But I am looking. So it's an active audition schedule right now. So if anybody is interested, they can inbox me at on Instagram, or you can hit me on Instagram at the Perfectionist with an S on the end, CC, or at Speaker Bullies on Instagram, and hit me up. I'll send you the information for casting. We're having people submit self tapes performing the sides that I'll send out. So we're looking for talent. So if you got somebody that is a good performer in that age range, I would love to check them out.
There it is. We got a comment. Shannon said, "Come to the Bay Area." We on our way. We working our way out there, Shannon. We're gonna be out there soon. All right. Well, thank everybody again, man. This was a great show. Wild Thoughts, Wild Bunch, Sunday night, Montebello. Come check us out. And next week we're gonna be back to talk about this interview, with Kamala and Walt.
Yes.
Yeah, windows to the walls, and see how it go. All right, we'll see y'all next week.